Welcome to our presentation for Rio Grande Medical Center. Here's an overview. Rio Grande Medical Center is a full-service, not-for-profit acute care hospital with 325 beds located in Rio Grande, Texas. 80% of the space in the hospital is used for the outpatient clinic. The remaining 20% is used by the dialysis center. Recent growth in volume of the outpatient clinic has created a need for 25% more space than is currently assigned. The decision was made to keep the outpatient clinic in its current location and to move the dialysis center to another location to free up space within the hospital complex. Question: is it fair for the dialysis center to suffer in profitability from the move even though it had nothing to do with it? It is not fair. The dialysis center and the outpatient clinic will have to share the cost. However, the move of the dialysis center is for the greater good of the hospital. By expanding the outpatient clinic by 25%, they will be able to care for a larger number of patients. This will create an increase in income and revenue. Although it is expensive to move the dialysis center, they will benefit by having more parking and thus being more convenient for the dialysis patients. The study concludes that no extra revenue is guaranteed for the dialysis center from this move at this time, so sharing the increased cost created by the move is the best answer to this issue. Question: should the dialysis center be charged actual facilities cost for its new location? After all, the move was forced by the outpatient clinic, which is being charged for facilities at the lower average allocation rate. Under the concept of charging for actual facilities costs, department heads might be better off resisting proposed moves to new and potentially more efficient facilities because such moves would result in an increased facilities allocations. We think the costs should be shared because the outpatient clinic needed the expansion. They can't just get it cost-free. They will increase their revenue by $4 million. We think they should share the cost of the new building. While it is true that under the concept of charging for actual facility costs, department heads might be resistant to a move. By sharing the cost between facilities, it becomes a more fair allocation. Question number 3. Even if the true cost concept were applied to the dialysis center, is the $400,000 annual allocation amount correct? After all, the building has a useful life that is probably significantly longer than 20 years, the life of the loan used to determine the allocation amount. If the true cost concept is applied, what would be the allocation in the 21st year after the mortgage had been paid off? When we apply the true cost concept, then the allocation in the 21st year would be zero because the facility would be paid off and the cost would revert back to the original allocation of $15 per square foot without taking inflation into account. Question number 4. The revenue that the dialysis center receives from patient use of the pharmacy appears to be passed on directly to the pharmacy. That is, the dialysis center books $800,000 in annual revenue, but then is charged $800,000 for the drugs used. Should this revenue be counted when general overhead allocations are made? To make this point, John discovered that the pharmacy supplies used for dialysis actually cost the pharmacy $400,000, so the pharmacy makes a profit of $400,000 on drugs that are actually sold by the dialysis center. Our answer is that we believe the dialysis center would become more profitable if the pharmacy claimed its own revenue. By reducing the dialysis center's revenue by the $800,000, it decreases the total revenue and increases profitability through reduced indirect expenses. This adjustment to remove income claimed by the pharmacy allows for a more equitable allocation of indirect costs. And here you can look at our spreadsheet and how we would move those monies. Number 5 asked for a cost allocation scheme, and highlighted in yellow are the changes that we would make. And it is explained on the next slide. Without expansion, the outpatient clinic and the dialysis center have equal facilities costs per square foot. However, with the expansion, the outpatient clinic is expected to realize a greater increase in profit than the dialysis center. As such, it seems justifiable to allocate $1 per square foot to the dialysis center and the additional $4 per square foot cost to the outpatient center. This appears to be a fair and equitable distribution of cost. Ultimately, the new allocation method would provide both the outpatient center and dialysis centers with positive net profits for their departments. The other suggestion to help with profitability of the dialysis center is to remove the pharmacy revenues, as we said earlier, from their revenues, since there is no benefit to the dialysis center and it is fair and equitable for the pharmacy to claim their own revenues. Thank you so much for watching. Please let us know if you have any questions.